GM, Hot Takes and Cold Wallets, episode number 30. This is the final episode before we move into the summer break, and we managed to have a special guest here today. But before we jump into that, hello to Umar and Juan. How are you guys doing over there at Chain Patrol?
Doing good, doing good. Life's been busy, but I think it's been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks. Juan, how you been doing?
Yeah, doing great. Watching the World Cup as much as I can. Definitely enjoying seeing like all the games. You don't know what to expect actually with all the different like football matches. So that's really good. And also, yeah, I'm Argentina, as people here know in the podcast. He's actually winter, so it's like pretty chill right now. It's probably like 2 degrees outside. So trying to survive here a little bit while you're all sweating there in Europe and also in the US. I'm kind of
Yeah, it's complete opposite. Yesterday was Canada Day, and it was like extremely hot outside, and we're just sweating and melting away here. We have AC, so we're good. Sorry, we meet.
you got something better than we do. Katya Benaina, welcome to the show. You're CEO of Bebop, and I think you're in Europe too. Is that right?
I'm in London.
How's the weather over in London?
It's actually lovely this week. It's like 26 degrees, 20, like it's really nice this week. Last week it was quite unbearable without AC for sure. But yeah, I've been watching the World Cup. Also being in London, watching Wimbledon from this week. So it's all kind of full on sports. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I can imagine like being on a tennis court. That has to be like a real torture for the body if you play
No,
for
this
three.
week is good. This week
Yeah,
actually for
okay.
them is good. Like they just started this week, and next week I think there's going to be a bit of a heat wave again. But yeah, no, it. I don't think it's going to be 38 again. It was bad, but also nice. Like it doesn't happen in London very often, so you know, it, I'll do that. I'll take that over like 18 degrees summer, and for benefit of those who don't know Celsius, unfortunately, I can't help you because I have no idea how to use Fahrenheit. So,
Okay, before we get to the playing field of Bebop, Umar, Juan, any emerging threats on the side of Chain Patrol? Is there any update you wanted to share with the community before we get going?
I mean, there was a few things kind of like popping up on our radar. I think the biggest thing is just we're seeing a lot of abuse and shifting tactics to social media attacks. Still, we've seen a lot of video sites getting abused a lot more. Daily Motions, YouTube's, Vimeos of the world. And yeah, just like we've are also just really excited and interested to see this with Anthropic bringing back Fable. What is the implications of that for the both the cybersecurity market, but also for attackers and defenders, and all the intrigue about why it was taken off the marketplace, so to speak.
Okay, Katja, before we move into your topic with Bebop, I think we actually never had like a decentralized exchange on here, so that's like a very fitting wrap up for the season one. And I wanted to ask, like, before we get into like the nitty gritty and the tech details and all that, I wanted to have you have the word to explain to the average listener of the show, like, what is Bebop trying to do and which problem are you solving for the average crypto user?
yeah. So I think the kind of like the way I look at DeFi, and have always looked at DeFi, right? It's and kind of like the blockchain technology in general. I don't think it's like for an average crypto user. It's really it has always been there to kind of grow and be there for the world, right? And for me, this has always been about two things. One of them is access, and the other one is composability. And so, the composability part is like, I think it's very exciting if you can kind of imagine like all the cool stuff that can be done like financially and technologically when you have all the assets interacting with each other kind of at the same time and the same place in this like massive kind of universe of assets, right? And that's really cool from this perspective. But like, I think I'm even more sort of relatable perspective is access, right? And so, we're all kind of like based in different countries, and we have accesses to, certain investments we could make, or certain transfers that we, can or cannot make across border, and so on and so forth. And, blockchain has always been about that, right? And the crypto assets and all the sort of things that kind of came on top, they have their place, they matter in different ways, but ultimately it's this place where anyone can transact and transfer value and have access to things, right, financially. And so basically, back to your question, right, like what does Bebop do? So Bebop operates entirely on chain. It means that anyone can connect their self-custodial wallet and transact. Before it was crypto, but now it's also obviously tokenized stocks and other like tokenized commodities and other assets, way more accessible to most people, and hopefully in some ways like all people around the world. And that's amazing, right? Like we've just seen the most like the biggest IPO in world history, right? And immediately, day one, like minute one, there have been various different tokenized stocks for SpaceX, and they were tradable on Bebop, they were tradable, accessible on DeFi, and that I think is really worthwhile. And that's why decentralized finance exists. That's why on-chain finance exists, and that's why I work in this area.
So what does Bebop do behind the scenes, which like the user would have to do manually on their own if they weren't like using your platform?
Well, I mean, we provide trade execution for users, right? So basically, user can place can come in and say, "Hey, I want to buy this token for this token," or vice versa. The way we work is that we actually source those quotes and that liquidity from professional market makers. So we are a hybrid kind of platform in a way that we fully operate on chain. So it's fully custodial and has provides this full access to any user. At the same time, we from the start, we have not been utilizing kind of like DeFi native original things like AMMs or like pool liquidity pools and things like this, because ultimately you get better and more reliable trade execution when you go through when you interact with professional players, right? Generally, I think crypto has been like intellectually or philosophically originally kind of anti-intermediary, but I think the intermediaries that add value, that create efficiencies, are actually good, in any part of economy, in any part of life. Where they're bad is when they create barriers, right? And because generally DeFi is about very much fewer barriers than elsewhere. That's where those professional players, like market makers in our case, providing quotes, actually provide better financial outcomes to users. So that's how we operate. So basically, from the user perspective, you come in, you place a trade. You don't have to think about who is trading with you, who's taking the position on the other side, but we offer good rates, and that's on a really wide range of assets.
Well, would you say, like from a technical point of view, from a technical perspective, this is like super important for the user because it takes away a lot of the headache that they would have otherwise if they would manually like to compare everything?
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, go on.
No, feel free to add on to that.
You can answer both, but the question was stated at Umar.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say just 2 cents on that was like, yeah, I think the point about making sure that there's more reliability there. That's something the user will of course appreciate, right? The ability to kind of transact at any time and make trades sort of with assets that are like cryptocurrency assets is the key goal that the user has. And I think there's like it's interesting to explore that sort of hybrid thing where like the front end and the back end, don't necessarily all have to be fully sort of this like decentralized kind of thing. You could kind of combine the two and get the best of both.
Yeah, Katja, on your end, yeah, like you're basically taking like the user's wish to swap one asset into another and making it as easy as possible for them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's the users, it's also our B2B partners. So there is very few things, right? So there's like price, there is ease of use, there are things like reliability. So if you look back a few years in DeFi, like people would pay crazy amounts for gas and then the transaction would fail. Things like that. Like it's just completely, it's kind of something out of like a very short phase, right? That we all kind of lived through, or many of us lived through in like 2021, 2022, like 2020 maybe, right? But yeah, like this is like it's not how anything should operate, right? So for example, Vivo provides guaranteed rates that never slips. Like what you see is what you get. They never fail. And so like that's a very important part, right? And as like more and more companies looking to engage much wider audiences who might not even know that crypto is in the background, we are able to create that experience, for our partners, and then they can create it to their users, as well as us also providing that to our users directly.
Is the term like the better swap solution or the better execution layer that you guys are offering, is that like hard to explain? Because I can imagine like the user sees your solution to the swap, but they didn't see the other options they may have had. So even if you are the best, like how do they know? Like is that difficult to explain to a normal user?
Yeah, I think the sort of kind of situation that we're in, it's not that they haven't seen other solutions. It's more like that there are so many places that people can go to because and it's like beauty of DeFi, right? As well, everyone could like come in and build, right? And so that's why there's like so many of everything, right? And so I think and so like when we talk to different, like whether it's talking to our business, our kind of B2B partners, whether it's talking to users, you talk about different things. So from the user perspective, I would say, obviously UX is important, marketing in general is important, habit is important, access to certain assets that you can get here but not in other places is important. Things like certain kind of type of like functionality that you want that works for your asset. Those things are important. Airdrops back in the day have been very, very important, right? So multiple different things. So explaining things to users like about this, you're getting like a little bit better price here or this and this and that. It's not really about that, right? So just depending on the audience that we talk to, we would talk about different things that we believe kind of matter for them.
Makes sense.
So specifically, for example, for like the kind of from sort of our user interface, our kind of current plan is to introduce something that's really quite unique in terms of kind of what you can trade and kind of like the directional positions that you can take. And so that is what we would like to offer to the users, and we're gonna basically go with a unique proposition. And so like in the current market, not in the current market, right, but in the market that's quite saturated with competing products, you kind of really need to do something quite unique, right? And so that's what we're working on. It's kind of still in stealth, but it's gonna probably come out in a few weeks' time. So fairly close that I can kind of safely talk about it.
I think also like a lot of it comes to trust around the brand, and we talk about this like a lot, obviously, in the show of Chain Patrol, where it's like bread and butter with brand impersonation and phishing protection and all that. It's kind of interesting to me that brand basically is not only the product nowadays, but it's also like how you handle stuff like impersonations? Do you care for your community if there's like scammers using your brand and your name, etc.? Katja, how much of that do you see at Bebop on a scale? Are there like many campaigns where fishers use your name or clone your front ends or something?
We haven't seen much of that. I think the main concerns that I personally have on sort of those kind of like phishing kind of things is people DMing me on on Telegram, and or people kind of coming to us with inbounds and sort of saying, hey, okay, I'd like to become your partner, and like leaving weird kind of contact details, right? And yeah, so that stuff is quite scary. I touch wood think that I've never uh, ended up on a kind of impersonation, like deep fake kind of call and things like that. But I have been a few times pretty close, and yeah, so I'm definitely like erring on the side of caution very, very much, right? So just yeah, but yeah, every time like someone messages you and says, hey, like I'm I don't know, like I'm looking for a job, here is my CV, right? You really think more than twice whether you're going to click on that link or whether you can open that file, and it's quite emotionally taxing, because I realize that like I can get this message like at 6 a.m. when I wake up or something like that, and just click on it because I'm not awake yet, right? And that's quite scary. We also see some like stuff like random requests or DDoS sometimes. Like what's annoying also, sometimes people would like come and DDoS you and then say, oh, hey, like I found the vulnerability, like give me a bug bounty. And it's just, kind of shitty. So, so yeah, there's this as well.
Umar, you're the master on that.
Yeah,
How much of a rise have you seen since the days of like AI exploded and got better and better?
yeah, I've seen you know what, actually? I don't know if it's just because I've said no to so many people drive by bug bounty reports like that, they just stopped reaching out to me. But I actually seen a dip in that in those, like, it used to be sort of like very automated campaigns. You would see like people say, oh, you have this CVE clickjacking on your website. Oh, you have this CVE like some sort of like iframe missing headers or something on your site, right? These security headers. And I used to get emails like that every single day. Now it's gone actually much less. What I've seen instead, though, is like a lot of what Katja was talking about, with people send about resumes and opportunities and partnerships. And people like, that's more kind of scary because it's more social engineering that can, take advantage of sort of, people who have very busy lives. Maybe they're like not responding to someone for some time, and you're always worried. It's like, oh, did I leave someone unread? And that's the common trigger that people go after, is like, oh, like we met and you didn't respond to any of my messages, and it's like they set this social pressure on you. Also, I think a big part of it is like, it really depends also on your where you do your marketing and how you do customer acquisition. If you're a business owner or running a protocol, it's like, if your whole sort of goal with marketing is to get partnerships, is to get people to build with you or integrate with you, that's a different sort of attack surface area than, hey, I have a product and I want people to use it. I think you're gonna you both are challenging, but I would say like it's a bit maybe easier for the former case. You can kind of hop on a call, you can kind of do some social tests. It's not foolproof, as we've seen in the past. There's been cases where someone has a relationship with someone for months, they meet them at a conference, and then they turn out to be sort of malicious. But I would say like, it's definitely easier than, hey, I want users to sign up, so I'm giving out something for free to see if people will use it, and you just end up with a different form of sort of abuse that you need to kind of tackle at a larger scale. So I think it's really, again, dependent on how you do your marketing, how you interact with the world.
think one of the most annoying things that I've seen in the past and still see, like I think a few days ago I made a video about this. The first result you got when you Googled Ledger was a fake ad, a sponsored ad on Google. And
Yes.
someone just, he was like, I don't know, he was taking care of a toddler or whatever. He was clicking on that link, he downloaded or visited the fake Ledger website, entered his seed phrase, and ended up like losing 1 Bitcoin or whatever because obviously they stole his seed phrase. And I think this is something that it's not addressed enough in our industry because people sell ads to scammers and phishers and whatnot and profit of that, and users lose money because of that. And I think basically when you Google everything or anything that's related to crypto, when you have ads still enabled in your browser, please do not click on search ads when it comes to crypto. I think you guys would probably agree with me on this one, or wouldn't you?
100%. Yeah, I think Google search ads and ads in general are very highly abused, and I've talked about it before on this podcast about that time when my grandmother had her ad block just got disabled, and then she saw all the ads, and then like 99% of them are scams of some sort, and it's just very easy to fall for it if you're not like aware of it.
Yeah, I would add to that we pretty much see this all across, like targeting not only like taxis but also like wallets. Wallets also have like this issue of like fake APKs, fake apps on the Apple Store, Google Play Store. These are really common, and yeah, I mean, you're like a normal user. You just want to download the app and like start interacting, so you don't think twice about like, okay, I'm going to get like a fake app. I think like that level of abstraction only gets when you're like, we have been in crypto for some years, but we have like the speech that we want to onboard more people into crypto, and if we want to onboard more people into crypto, they need to know that this is something safe, right? Because a user that lost like a Bitcoin or so is probably not going to touch Ledger anytime soon. So we need to make sure that we have like these security measures in place, as we also have like a maturity of the industry itself.
Katja, you come from a background from traditional finance, and like the concept of these ads or phishing in general isn't like new to crypto or whatever. It has been around for a long time. And I think you have seen probably your fair share of these. Would you say that it's easier to steal or target crypto users than it is with TradFi because they have more guardrails in place, or would you disagree on that?
I think the main kind of feature and the bug at the same time, right, of crypto is the self-custodial crypto, especially, is that it is self-custodial, right? So like no one can recover your funds, and you can't really ensure that. But basically, this like not your key is not your crypto. If you give your key, also not your crypto, right? and so that's the that's some irreversible, whatever. Basically, the fact that you cannot reverse it, right, is what's so bad about it. And like I remember someone there was one of the, I think, Bogota DEF CON, there was a really good panel about security, and someone said that like when you have to plan for this eventuality of irrecoverable situation, it's basically the same level of security protocols as like aerospace security. It's like it's that sort of level, but this space runs on startups, ranging from like 5 to, I don't know, like 150 people, and like how on earth, who also want to run and like break things, and then go fast and break things, right? And that's the combination of these two things is quite dangerous, admittedly, right? So like, for example, even the person who like lives in DeFi and works in DeFi knows DeFi very well. I can tell you right now that I would not put my entire universe of assets into the self-custodial situation it exists today. So basically, in terms of kind of like phishing links and scams and those kind of things, the TradFi part, like the consumer protection part, like that is all, it's insured. People, my cards got like credit cards got like copy it or something like that, right? But I know that my bank they will give me a call, they will find out about the scam, they'll give me a call and they say, hey, like we blocked your card and we're going to refund your, I don't know, $1,000 that got spent. And I don't even need to do anything about it. Like they just do it themselves, right? Whereas in DeFi, obviously, no one's going to help me. And so, yeah, it's kind of that, and that thing needs to be, well, you can't really solve it fully, but because again, it's a feature. But there probably needs to be like different levels of, permission and access, and like that people can decide, like what they want to put where.
I was gonna ask you, Katja, like, is there any practice or any system you would like to see adopted from traditional finance into DeFi more widely?
Responsibility, the sense of responsibility. I think, and like because and it's not like, oh my god, like we can't do stuff because the regulator is going to come. It's like, it's not that, right? But I think it's like the YOLO attitude to people's money, to other people's money in DeFi. It's natural because like so many people made money out of nothing, right? And so you kind of like, it's kind of like this magic internet money thing, and we all kind of like, so sometimes I ask someone, okay, do you want like a transfer like in cash or in like stables? And they're like, cash please, because stables I don't treat it as real money. Like it's a different, like you have a very different like spending appetite, right? As well as like losing this money like appetite for crypto money, than even if it's stables and stuff. So yeah, but I mean, I think the kind of this the sense of gravity of like what we're dealing with, and that it's like finance and it's people's money, like I think that's something that just needs to sort of be more present culturally. So yeah, I would say that.
We talked about this on the show before too, where we said basically when we said like, hey, when you see money in your wallet or screens on your wallet, you just think like, hey, there are some digits, I'm gonna spend this, as you said, like for $100 in gas or something, which you probably wouldn't do in the real life world at any costs. But in DeFi, it's just like, yeah, the swap is $100, so what are my options? I gotta do that. I gotta do what I gotta do, which is insane. Juan, you have been around for a while as well. Would you agree with me on that? And Katja, when we say like, hey, this money, this magic internet money, sometimes it doesn't feel as quote unquote worthy as it does in the real life world.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different mindset, right? But I think it's not just about like whether because it's not real money. I think it's more because, like, when you go on holiday, right, you're in a different spending mindset than when you go to a restaurant versus a supermarket, right? You're like, well, in a restaurant, like I'm spending, I don't know, $50 on a steak. That's cool, right? But like a $50 on a steak, like in the rest, it's kind of strange, right? And I remember I went with my cousins to like quite a nice fishmonger. I got like a really nice big turbot, and it's a very expensive fish. And they like and it was like, yeah, something was quite expensive, and they were like, but it's not even cooked. Like how are you spending, like you're spending this money like on raw fish that you also have to cook it. I'm like, but this is cool, right? This is exciting. And so like for me, this is like, I see this value there, right? But they're like, no, you have to cook it. So like I'm happy to pay for this this much in the restaurant, but not at a fishmonger. So basically I think it's just a different mindset. Holiday mindset, home mindset, DeFi mindset. Yeah, that.
Yeah, I was gonna sort of add on to that. Is like, I think it is very much, contextual. Like I think all transactions that we do in the real world are very contextual. Like today, $100 doesn't seem as much as it did maybe like 20, 30 years ago, right? Like before it was a bigger deal, but different inflation, different cost of living too, right? And so I think that's kind of part of it. Is that like when you're looking at this in the context of, oh, this money is living in this crypto wallet versus this is living in my bank account, there's a different context of what I expect from this. And I think each one, the benefit I think in general is the choice, right? It's like you can when you can opt in and opt out. It's more so that's dangerous is when people don't know that they can opt in or opt out, or they get stuck in sort of a one track state of mind that like, oh, I it's similar to like how people are like with the AI psychosis stuff. I don't know if you've read about people like once they go open the genie, open the lamp, they see the genie, they're like it's out. Once it's out, they can't go back, right? They lost that ability to kind of do things by hand or like think about it. It's like, oh, not everything needs to be, AI or automated, right? So I think that's the kind of thing. It's like it's hard to do that. And I think a big part of it, at least in crypto, is that like how much of crypto is very much based off of faith and belief in an ideology. And I sometimes we get like not necessarily peer pressured, but we definitely get influenced by our peers to kind of uh, be a true believer, go all in, which I don't think it's like necessarily bad, but I don't think it's for everyone. I think most people are in some sort of like gradient of like, I'll do this and this in crypto, but I'll do this still with cash. I'll do this with, my bank and fiat and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of like, or I thought is interesting.
Yeah.
Also going back to like Bebop, it's like you're approaching as well as sort of like this hybrid. It's not black and white. It's like there's an opportunity to kind of mix between the worlds.
Yeah. Something I would add to Omar and Katya as well on this like contextual side of things is that some people actually still see crypto as like internet magic money. So if you actually saw your funds like that and you still saw your wallet not reflecting like the actual cash that you have, it's like much easier to go into those like bigger gas expenditures when you're like doing transactions. And I think there is also one important thing to mention as well is that the most fast gas that is being paid in crypto right now is whenever you have like a pretty important like ICO that you want to be the first to deposit money there because you think you're going to do like a 10x in the next hour after launch, or you have like the NFT collection that you're going to be the first one to actually buy this. So it's also contextual and actually trying to get like financial gain from this. I don't think that anyone will be pretty much doing like a normal transaction on Ethereum with that amount of gas if it's not necessary or if it's not like something that will provide enough return when it comes to this. So I think it's contextual, and at the same time, I think it depends on the type of people actually doing these kind of transactions.
What I find interesting is, for me personally, like credit cards are somewhere in between. You have like crypto, you have like cash, and then you have credit cards in between. Depends on the culture and the country you live in, but in the United States, for example, people love credit card debt. In Europe, this isn't as much of a thing, so we kind of spend what we have, and that's it. In America, is always like maxing out their cards, which is like, ooh, spending money you don't have. It's an interesting concept. So that's somewhere in between, I guess, because if you just tap a card, it probably doesn't feel like as you are spending your own money or hard-earned money in a way as well. And then we got crypto, where you have like a crypto wallet. It's even like, hey, what is this even? Magic internet money. You guys told about it. Katja, to come back to your TradFi experience, let's flip the script on the question and ask the question in the other way around. Is there anything that DeFi does significantly better than TradFi?
Yeah, it's kind of like capsule velocity, right? So in a sense that, so basically, DeFi blockchain, right, as a thing, programmable blockchain offers full composability and it offers atomicity, which means that you can, like, if you tokenize everything in the world, it means that you can transform, like convert anything you have into anything you may want to have, right? And equally, you can use whatever you have as a collateral to, to maybe take some loan of something else, and so on and so forth. Right? Like today, we'll have hopefully, some sort of assets, also liabilities, right? And so, if you combine but it's really difficult to kind of to deal with those assets, right? So you might have a house, right? But house is not particularly liquid, and yes, you can go and take out a loan with like partially, like somehow like extend your mortgage with that, or just kind of have your house partially kind of collateralized, but to partially collateralize this loan, guarantee this loan. But like things like repossessing the house and whatnot, like all of that complexity means that you're paying really quite a lot for those kind of things, right? Like you can't use like your entire house to put as collateral for something and take out like the exact amount. And so however, if you imagine the world where really like everything is tokenized and everything can be composed in like portfolios or in collaterals or in like swapping assets from one to another, like that is incredibly powerful. It means that any assets that you have can be put to work, and that's why there's a lot of conversation about tokenized assets like stocks and things like this, because of course they're popular and people want to invest and trade. But there's also like this like crazy, like maybe not trillions but like billions of tokenized random stuff, illiquid stuff, right? That's like illiquid funds, illiquid credit, like that kind of stuff. And the reason why it's so great to tokenize is because like those assets are sitting on banks' balance sheets, and like you can't do anything with them. Like you can't really utilize them properly. And I think blockchain allows so much sort of creativity with it, and also in a fully transparent way, right? Because it's on chain, right? You can't just like go and triple count those things, and like I think there's like a robust kind of like platform to make this happen in a safe way. So yeah, like that kind of stuff, super exciting. And so tokenization and composability, those two things are totally the reason why blockchain finance is only going to grow.
Katja, what's your take on DeFi being kind of obsessed with reinventing the wheel when it comes to different routes and products and things that have been proven in the past in TradFi and stuff like that to work? And I sometimes have the idea that DeFi seems to wants to reinvent everything that we see in a traditional finance world, and even if it's like for a worse outcome, it's like a bad process because it always has been used in a traditional kind of world. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I kind of think and kind of like complain about this a lot. I mean, so I think so different things here. Like one thing is that like at first, like the DeFi that created, I don't know, AMMs, for example. So that's a great innovation for like where that to kick off basically DeFi, and that's great. But then like the I think the culture at the time was like, okay, everything legacy finance, it was called. Very arrogant. So then rebranded into TradFi to be more palatable, I suppose. And so, I mean, I just call it global finance. There's no like TradFi. It's not Trad. It's literally global finance, and like crypto and on chain is like a tiny thing compared to this. And like what I would like to see is global finance on chain, right? So anyway, so basically people are like, oh yeah, legacy finance, everything is bad. We gotta like create better ways to trade. And that was reinventing the wheel in a wrong way, because it's like it was like creating a square wheel type situation. So then, and that's like from Bebop perspective, like we brought RFQ. RFQ is a totally legit way to transact. And RFQ exists in chats, on the phone, in electronic systems. It also exists on chain, and because it's good, because it's like the right way to do this. And what you do is like you bring that thing and you understand its benefits, you understand what it does, and you say, hey, well, okay, now I need to make it work on chain. And so that's kind of like the kind of thing that we're doing, for example. Now, then people start looking at finance, right, and go, oh, but like, I don't know, order book, we learned about order books, now let's all pray to the order book because this is like the absolutely best way to trade anything. Well, and like literally people go, like the entire global finance trades in order book. And I'm like, no, about 30% of the global finance trades in order books, and everything else trades OTC in entirely different ways with RFQs and other things. But people don't necessarily know that, and then they think that, right? And they go and they reinvent this on chain. And for some things it works where it makes sense, and for other things it doesn't work at all, right? And then there are other situations where people kind of go and say, okay, this thing exists in TradFi, and that's why it should also absolutely exist in DeFi. But that's also wrong, because the things exist for a reason, for a particular type of market, for a particular type of challenge, right? And if the challenge does not exist in DeFi, it doesn't need to be here. If the limitation that off-chain has is already solved by on-chain, you don't need that kind of methods of trading, right? Or doing anything. So basically, yeah, like I think it's basically there's some people trying to sometimes just copy paste and bring stuff on chain for no good reason. And sometimes it's like, oh no, we're gonna create this new primitive, which is completely amazing. Whereas actually there's a much better way that already exists and has existed for 200 years, and you should just do that. So it's all of this is happening. But again, right, it's also part of experimentation and innovation, and we we need that, right, as a society, I suppose, or industry.
I got 2 more questions because we're running out of time slowly. and
That
one
is
thing,
true. Okay, no worries.
one thing we always like to talk about is mass adoption when we are talking about crypto. Everyone wants to yell hey, we got mass adoption. And Katja, I was just thinking RWAs, basically tokenized stocks and all that. Do you think this has a chance to onboard the next wave of people into crypto?
I think for me, what crypto has done, it's taught a lot of people who hadn't thought about, investing or trading or doing those kind of things before, into paying attention to this. And now all these people who learned about crypto and who, maybe opened an account and bought Bitcoin and saw it grow and then saw it go down or whatever, now they're well, okay, I'm already here, so now I'm gonna do stocks as well and other assets. So I think the adoption, the best thing so far that crypto has done is really provided access to people who did not invest before or who didn't think about it at all before, and gave them the opportunity to do it. Maybe they got drugged at some point, maybe they got burnt at some point, but they experienced it and they might have not done it before. And I think we're gonna see more and more people to we're gonna see them join the this kind of financial sovereignty, I suppose. And that's, I think, a very good thing.
Okay, I said in the intro we are approaching the summer break for this show. So the last question will be for all 3 of you. And the question can be dictated to RWAs, can be related to DEXs, whatever you want. And I would just want to ask you the question, which future of DEXs, RWAs, exchanges, wallets, whatever it may be, are you most excited about in the upcoming month or year? Katja.
I've been talking too much. Let's let the guys speak. I'll use this to think a little bit.
Oh man, that's a tough question. Honestly, I haven't been doing too much stuff in DeFi lately to kind of make an opinion on that. But I guess I would kind of going back to the previous point about who benefited the most from crypto's experimentation. I think just got a bunch of people interested in just finance in general, and the fintechs kind of gained a lot from that. The ones that weren't oh, we're crypto, or oh, we're a better bank. So I guess for me, I would be more interested to see adoption of DeFi in those areas, the Revoluts, the Mercuries, and other areas of the world, and even Stripe, Robinhood. Robinhood just landed in Canada right now. So what I'm interested in seeing is the adoption of these technologies, maybe not in the same shape or form, but like informed by the experimentation that's been happening for the past 5, 6 years at least, kind of like being accessible, to kind of more people. That's kind of what I'm interested in right now. And I think we're at the stage now where like we're starting to see those projects that were like uh kind of like planned maybe a year or two ago when sort of some of the headwinds started to come back towards crypto in the States and North America. Now some of those projects are launching, whether that be like Stripe and Tempo and other blockchain projects. That's kind of what I'm most interested in. I want to see it in my hands. I want to see it in the hands of my siblings and other people, and seeing like what is their reaction to it.
Juan, you had a similar question on the episode before. It should be easy for you.
Yeah, yeah. You remember me to the last episode on this. I would say on this case, I embrace a feature where I can use like crypto for everything and not to have like different like stacks on like day-to-day life, like a bank that can actually be my general bank and I don't need to recur like to cash or fiat to do different things. I think this includes like not only like legislation that I can actually like enable these. Like if I can want to buy like a car with Enclave crypto, I can truly do it with no like second questions. But also at the same time, I would love to have like crypto enable us. Recently, we had like a big offering when it comes like to actual buy stocks, and there are like a lot of exchanges and also like the exits that also incorporated. Like if I want to buy like Tesla stock, I can actually do it right now. And 2 years ago, it was like much more harder. So things like this can actually like expand the way we can see like investing as well, and can also, I wouldn't say revolutionize because I think it's like a natural progress of like money going into other places. But I would love to have like this expanded globally in like all different, yeah, in all different like businesses and verticals as well. So, a quick question, quick answer would be: do crypto be my all one, and not to have like spread like banks for one thing and also crypto for other thing.
That leaves us with Katja.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that fintechs are gonna, and like basically applications that use crypto as rails exclusively are gonna benefit a lot from this. Whether it excites me, I don't know, because ultimately, like all those fintechs, they have the same kind of, the same like, KYC and like, all those processes, and they can block your account and all of that. So I kind of like, it's good, but I don't think it excites me for these reasons. But what does excite me is like those cases when you really are you continue being sort of like self-custodial and maybe with like smart wallets kind of and things like this, and you actually do sort of operate in DeFi, but without like realizing that you operate in DeFi. That I definitely get on board with much more than when basically just stables are being used like as an easier FX cross-border payments situations, while you still kind of as a user have to go through constantly all the hoops of and limitations basically that exist.
Yeah, this was a great episode. Time flew by. Katja, I would have loved to talk about like the future of Dexes and all that, but maybe that's for another episode. We will see.
Future.
Again, for now, thank you for your time, Umar, Juan, and Katja. Thank you. Thank you for everyone listening to the show for 30 episodes. As said, we're gonna have a little summer break, and the format will be back sooner or later. You will see the announcements will be there. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for taking the time to being on the show, and see you soon. Stay safe out there. Bye bye.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hasta luego.